Greetings, viewers. Night and I here, and one of the things that has stayed with me ever since looking into the Raccoons is the apparent ship between Bert and Lisa Raccoon. No relation. Yes, apparently fans of this show ship these two characters, and I've had this inexplicable year to talk about the pairing ever since the smoking episode from last year. Lisa first appeared in the episode Spring Fever, where she's traveled to visit their uncle Ralph. Having formed a friendship with the lad, Bert's looking forward to spending a weekend with Bentley, doing all the things they love to do together, like fishing and hiking. But the minute he's introduced to Bentley's sister, Bert becomes immediately smitten. And I have to feel the reason for that is partly because of Lisa's design, which deviates greatly from other raccoons in the show. For the most part, the raccoons have squat bodies, short limbs, and black paws, but Lisa is far more anthropomorphic, being at least a few heads taller than the other raccoons, having a more humanoid physique and hands rather than paws. Obviously, for the plot of this episode, Lisa has to be as pretty as possible. Gonna be direct here, I don't ship these two. The reason mainly being the age difference. Bert, our main protagonist, is 20, and according to the wiki, when Lisa first appears, she's 17, and possibly 19 by the end of the series. As if intentionally trying to make me break out into an uncomfortable sweat. Google tells me that the age of consent in Canada, where this show is made, is 16. Never in my life have I hoped I misread something so much. Now, maybe I'm just thinking with my American sensibilities, but someone in their 20s being attracted to someone 4 or 5 years younger than them sets off sirens in my head. There's even a musical montage where Bert imagines them as a married couple with a kid. Thankfully, things don't get as creepy as they could, but also makes me think maybe the writers didn't consider the implications of this episode. You know, given the age gap and all. Fortunately, you have nerds like me who think way too much about an episode of the show from the 80s for everyone. And since this is a kid's show, things don't go much further than Bert watching sappy romance movies, styling his hair, and trying to impress Lisa by looking way more mature, and pretending he doesn't have any interest in things like fishing or baseball cards. The ever-observant Bentley is able to pick up on Bert's question and tease him about it, but Lisa is predictably oblivious, and even thinks a very obvious date is just two friends hanging out. It's only when Bert drops the L word that Lisa very gently tries to let him down, telling him while she does like him, she doesn't like him that way, and that such relationships take time to develop. This is a lesson that apparently goes in one ear and out the other, if the existence of simps and incels is anything to go by. Anywho, the episode ends with Bentley and Lisa returning home, but Lisa sends Bert a letter saying that she is willing to be his friend. And I'm left here wishing I had something clever to say to that. Come season 5, Bentley and Lisa move into the Evergreen Forest. Like any kids, naturally neither are happy about moving away from their previous home, but Bentley's tune has changed after a conversation with the friendly owner of the local general store about baseball, while Lisa's mood is only made worse. Now the town doesn't have a team dedicated to her favorite sport, basketball. This all comes to a head at dinner where Lisa lets out all of her angst, saying the regular things kids usually say in the heat of the moment, and shuts herself off in her room. It's only after Bert surprises her with a basketball hoop on the garage that she comes out and they have a game where Bert rather cleverly compares the family to a basketball team, saying everyone has to be there for each other, that Lisa is able to reconcile with her parents. Apart from making Lisa a semi-regular member of the cast now, I am bringing up the moving episode for an admittedly superficial reason about why I don't ship her with Bert. She looks far too much like her brother Bentley and her parents, in that all 4 of them have the same bent snout. With Bentley, it makes sense in the narrative of his debut episode where the pigs that work for Cyril Sneer mistake Bentley for Bert after seeing Bert what they assume is a fountain of youth formula, but I can't really think of a reason why their parents have the same bent snout. I've already reviewed the episode Join the Club, but I'll go over it here for the sake of this video. In this episode, we're introduced to one of Lisa's old friends, Donna Cat, who very quickly is established to be a negative influence on Lisa, getting her to take up smoking, much to the disapproval of Bert when he walks in on them, looking for a trinket that Lisa ran off with earlier. Lisa begs Bert not to tell anyone what he saw, and while Bert doesn't like Donna, or what she's getting Lisa to do, he keeps quiet. He does later go to Ralph and Melissa for advice about keeping secrets for a friend, but doesn't really give away anything specific. Later on in the episode, Lisa asks Bert if she can take over his paper route for a day, since Donna has asked her to come visit her in their old hometown for a while, but Lisa has to pay her own way for a train ticket. Bert agrees because it would give him time to work on a new clubhouse he found, but when he later catches Lisa coughing due to a cigarette she was smoking, he storms off, upsetting Lisa, who, before she's on her train ride with Donna, says she has to make amends with Bert, showing just how much his friendship means to her. Now, you could assume the reason Bert doesn't tell anyone about Lisa smoking is because he's still a simp for her, but I'm choosing to see it as him being unwilling to get her in trouble with her parents. We're told that Lisa's been talking up Bert to Donna, and Lisa does go out of her way to look for him when she could just leave on the train with Donna later on, and to me this says she really does value their friendship. The final episode of the series has Cedric Sr. take over Sr. Enterprises after his father Cyril has a heart attack from overworking himself. During what is possibly his first week as head of the company, Cedric is convinced by a totally not at all shady individual named Robin Steele, to invest in a triathlon with $1 million being the prize money. The very small advertisement in the newspaper attracts the attention of Bert, who's convinced he'll win the entire thing. Lisa, who is far more athletic than Bert, also decides to compete, both for the sake of giving Bert some friendly competition and to knock him down a few pegs since he's been so cocky. Unfortunately, Bert gets so disgruntled when he learns that Lisa's been doing better than him when training that he declares that he's going to quit the triathlon before it even begins, and Lisa, being annoyed with his attitude, says she's also quitting. Fortunately for the two raccoons' friendship, and unfortunately for Cedric, not only has Robin not kept up his side of the bargain of getting the triathlon TV coverage, but his swole son Rod will be competing as well. To the surprise of absolutely nobody, the Weasels have roped Cedric into a crooked deal and intend to make off with the prize money after Rod wins the competition. Their own conflict immediately forgotten, Bert and Lisa vow to win the triathlon and help Cedric make his money back. They do fairly well, but again to the surprise of no one, Rod cheats to take Lisa out of the competition, and when he tries to hold Bert back by grabbing his shirt when they're both near the finish line, the only thing that accomplishes is propelling Bert forward when the fabric of his shirt tears. The very last scene of the episode and the entire series reveals that Bert mailed the gold medal to Lisa, saying she deserved to win. It's a very sweet gesture and shows that Bert has learned to be humble. While I don't ship these two, they do work as friends. While Bert can be childish in his own right, he does have his moments of trying to be the voice of reason when Lisa's letting her emotions get the better of her. Lisa does see Bert as a genuine friend, but also isn't afraid to confront him when she feels he's being foolish. If that rumored reboot of the series ever happens, who knows how their relationship will turn out. Oh God, the shippers. This is my today saying thanks for letting me share my thoughts, happy Valentine's Day, and please share your thoughts with me.